What is day trading? Who can do it and what expertise do they need?
Well, anyone can day trade. Anyone that's got an opinion can put the money into an account and trade. I mean, there's no barrier to entry whatsoever. So it's just down to individuals, their risk appetite, and guess what they want to get out of it. I mean, so open to anybody.
What are the advantages of day trading, say, to long-term trading?
Well, like I've explained before, marketing can do this, can do that. You buy the low, sell the high, buy the low. All your money's left on the table. You can do anything in between. You only realise that amount of money you make when you get out. But a market can do this in a day, this in an hour, and you're making money potentially day trading all the time. So it's just, if a market moves 1,000 pips and you've made that, you can make 10,000 pips intraday trading it.
What aspects of day trading are the hardest to teach?
It depends on the individual. I mean, some people just get it, some people don't. I mean, people are individual. That's the real skill of teaching trading, is understanding individuals. I think the hardest thing is how to deal with losses and scale up. Anyone can trade a demo account and make money. Anybody. It seems almost too easy. You make that real money, percentage drops right down. So it's teaching people to trade with real money and trade with any kind of realistic size to make a decent return. What
kind of money management skills do you have to have before you get into day trading?
The skills are understanding when to take a loss and how much of a loss is right for you or realistic to your situation. The risk of money management, again, like I said, you can read stuff on the internet, and if you stick to a 2% stop strategy, of your capital, that's fine. You won't lose much money. You won't make much money. So it's using the right kind of risk at the right kind of time. Doing it for the right reasons. That's much more fluid. It's much more down to the individual. It's when you're starting to trade, as I've said, use stops, use a risk money strategy. But when you get to a certain level, you have to really play around with that, because you're never going to make the amount of money realistically that you want to without kind of changing that approach to risk.
What's your competitive edge in trading? What sets you apart?
I think it's two things really. It's time spent in the markets and learning mistakes and aggression. I'm about as aggressive as it gets. I want that money. I want it more than you do. So I go after it. That's my edge. I've done anything for trading, and I still will do. People laugh, but it's life or death for me, this kind of stuff. I couldn't go and do a normal job. So that's it. If I'm not good at this kind of stuff, what's the world going to do with Steve Ruffley? It's kind of, if I ain't trading, then I'm not going to be a second-hand car salesman. I'm sure it'll be pretty good, but it ain't going to keep me the life I'm used to.
What insights have allowed you to beat the markets?
Just time, just literally time. Thinking of everything, speaking to everyone, absorbing as much information as I can, and being wrong. I've been wrong spectacularly a number of times. And been wrong more than I'm right, but being right at the right time, as I've said, you make the money. So just being able to stay in the game, and that's it, just still being a last man standing type stuff.
Is the game still winnable?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to sell some dream here. If you don't want to trade, don't trade. It makes no difference to me. I'm in the markets because there's money to be made. I teach people that are willing to put the money in and the time in to make money. And after 6 years, I'm still chief market strategist of Intratrader. Intratrader and me have had a long relationship. I trade my money through them, and we're still in it. We're still making money.
Can individual investors thrive off the volatility of the market at the moment?
Of course, yeah. Volatility is your friend when trading. When markets move, everyone if you position right and you do the right kind of things, people make money. If markets don't move, nobody makes any money. So that's why markets move every single day, because there's always someone with an algo switched on, always someone sat in front of the screens. If the markets don't move, nobody makes any money. No one buys the FT, no one employs hedge fund managers, no one sits in front of the computers. The markets have to move because it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
In Forex, you're using real money, and it is possible that a trade will turn against you. Is getting involved with Forex and trading worth it?
It depends what you're trying to get out of it. I mean, there's no money to be made without risk. So again, it goes back to the questions we've asked and spoke about. Realistically, put money in you can afford to lose, but that's quite an expansive thing. But at the end of the day, it's down to the individual. If you want to make money out of the markets, you can. But you have to put yourself in a position where you're able to win it. And there are certain things that just tick all them boxes.